Yeah, all aboard the Paisley Park train.
Oh, yes.
I absolutely love this horse.
The last person I'd put ring is Meg. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it's a betting race as well. This is the race that I'd be most interested in out of the lot.
Matching my socks with my t-shirt that I've got on. I don't know if that's a bit weird.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Inside Track, brought to you by William Hill. This week we're going to be looking at the weekend that sort of was. Again, the weather in this country playing havoc with fixtures, but we did at least get some very good action from Thurles on Sunday. Our anti-post racing focus this week from the Cheltenham Festival is going to be the Turners Novices Chase. We're going to be looking ahead to that with Luke Elder, and we're also going to be looking ahead to this weekend's action from Cheltenham as well as Doncaster, with some of the key races that we have on offer this weekend. And I'm delighted to say that we will be looking ahead to all of this then in the company of a very special guest, William Hill ambassador, as well as top jockey Kevin Stott. Kevin, thank you so much for giving up your day all this time to speak to us. Great to have you with us. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Kate. Yeah, everything's going really well. So yeah.
Of course, like you say, with the all-weather championship at the minute, we're going to get onto that a little bit more so in detail, but everything absolutely flying at the minute. So if the freeze that's going across the country, you're probably one of the very few people that is not currently impacted. So great to speak to you more about that as the show goes on. And James Mackie, box walking as usual with this freeze at the minute, or how are you?
Yeah, all good, not too bad. Like you said, there wasn't too much jumps racing again, was there? But hopefully looking forward to this week. If it all goes to plan, Cheltenham, Doncaster, Fairyhouse, some good racing in there. So hopefully it all goes ahead and we can have a look forward to that as well.
Yeah, hopefully it all does, doesn't it? Because like you say, we are starting to go a little bit stir crazy with all of this freeze. Now, we only have Kevin for a very short period of time, so it will come as no surprise to any of you for that. He's a very, very busy guy at the minute. So before we let you get on with your very well-earned day of rest, Kevin, we do have a few questions that we would like to ask you all the same, because, of course, mentioned it there at the top of the show that you are currently situated at the top of the all-weather championship, have been for a while now, sitting 55 winners, 16 clear of your nearest rival, Danny Musket. So, I mean, how pleased are you with how this championship is currently going?
Obviously extremely pleased. I couldn't have asked for a better start, to be quite honest. You know, we jumped straight in, you know, riding plenty of winners, and it kind of took off pretty quickly. I was lucky enough to get on a good few horses of George Bowie's that was pretty well handicapped, and we got on the board early, which was obviously a good thing. It got the momentum rolling, and yeah, just, you know, we're always looking forward and trying to ride as many winners as we can.
Definitely. I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice and being very humble about all of these achievements so far, because you are just saying on well handicapped horses and such like that. We know it is far more involved than that. And of course, you have gone freelance with this bid. And is this something you're thinking of continuing into the turf season then itself, being freelance?
Yeah, so obviously going freelance has done, you know, a big thing for me. You know, I'm riding for a lot of different trainers, and you know, for a lot of owners I hadn't ridden for before, and yeah, you know, it's just nice to be able to ride a lot of winners for different people. Obviously, all the people that supported me, you know, before when I was in Kev's, and all the other trainers that I rode for, and owners, you know, back then were always behind me, and that was obviously really nice. But yeah, going forward, you know, into the turf season, I hope that, you know, if we can still be in front at the end of the year, at the end of the all-weather season, sorry, and you know, if that can kind of step us forward to still getting loads of rides for these trainers that I'm running for now, it's obviously going to be a huge help. And yeah, just really looking forward to the turf season and see what happens, to be fair.
Massively so. I say touch wood that the momentum can continue to the turf season as well, because it's all going very, very well for you at the minute. Now, of course, we do know that you do have a very strong jump connection as well, because obviously your other half, as well as your agent, Megan Nicholls, daughter of champion trainer Paul Nicholls, who you are with, you obviously do know the Nicholls horses quite a lot, and this is predominantly a jump show, so it would be remiss of me to A, ask you about your own jump racing exploits in the saddle, and B, any horses from the Nicholls yard that you may have had an involvement with that you can give us to follow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, I was lucky enough to when it was lockdown, that we were down at Paul's lockdown down there, and we were riding out every day, you know, for something to do. And yeah, that was good experience, good fun. Obviously rode some nice horses down there, and it kind of evaluated into to actually riding a horse for him in the flat jockeys jump race at Lingfield, which was an experience considering I've got absolutely no experience when it comes to jumping. I've never actually, I've no background in anything to do with jumping, not, show jumping or any ponies or anything like that. So it was quite an experience jumping. I only had a couple of weeks of schooling before the race at Lingfield, and no, it was brilliant fun. Yeah, it was one of these things that like I actually never thought was a thing that I would ever do, but it was good fun. Obviously, to be fair, Mr. Volk, who owned the horse I rode, was very relaxed about it, and to be fair to the horse, he was an absolute gent, and I just kind of had to close my eyes and just sit there really.
Oh, again, you make it sound so simple. And so who on earth talked you into this with just a few weeks of schooling? I just imagine you must have had some sort of show jumping background in the first place. Who on earth managed to coax you into that?
I think it was a bit of a joke over dinner one night.
Of course, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, and it was something that I was always a bit intrigued about, I obviously had no connections with anyone that had jump horses or anything like that. So it was never really a thing that I could do before I met Meg. And then obviously being down over lockdown and stuff and actually getting to ride some of the nice horses. And yeah, it was just something that after talking about it as a joke over dinner, I kind of thought, you know what, well, if there's an owner in the yard at Paul's that wouldn't mind having a horse running in the flat jockeys jump race, obviously, then, and to be fair to Paul, was very relaxed about it as well. And yeah, it was good experience. Obviously, he was very short favoured, and unfortunately, we didn't win. But
didn't want to mention that part. We didn't want to mention what price he actually went off at in the end.
No,
I'll
exactly.
let you do that.
No, I kind of got a few messages from that day saying that it was terrible I got beat. But there you go. I had good fun, and it was an experience, and it's not something that I'm going to take up as a full-time job, that's for sure. But no, it was good fun.
That was going to be the next question. Would you ever consider it? I mean, the weight's obviously very good, so you're absolutely fine for the flat now. But that was going to be the next the question was going to be, would it be anything you'd ever consider switching to? Guessing no.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've always been interested just in flat. But like you say, the weight's obviously really good, so I could probably have breakfast every day if that was the case. But yeah. No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be something I'd consider anyways, put it that way.
Think of all the brioches you could stuff your face with if only you could just, go over jumps instead. But yeah, things are going pretty well for you on the flat, so we can't blame you whatsoever. And with the Nicholls yard and your connection to that, do you have any horses that you were really sort of attached to, or you were really taken by, or any that you would be keen to watch for the rest of the jump season?
I mean, I have to mention Brave Man's Game, obviously. Yeah. He's pretty much a standout, in the yard. To be quite honest with you, I wouldn't really know that much about any of the other horses. Obviously, I follow them when they run, but like I'm pretty busy with my own thing. So like, but obviously it's interesting when the good horses are running in the good races and stuff. So no, but like Brave Man's Game would be the only horse, obviously with Mr. Dance owning half of it as well, who owns flat horses who I've ridden for before, and that makes it a little bit more interesting as well. But like, he's obviously a very good horse. I know for a fact Paul's really looking forward for him to run at Cheltenham, and he hopefully will run a big race.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, touch wood, that he does go on to run a very big race, and good name for you to have picked out anyway, Brave Man's Game. Now, the last question I want to ask you on this section, at least anyway, is a very random one, complete curveball to chuck at you, Kev. But what is one thing that no one else would know about you?
I mean, I don't know if people probably would know about it, but I'm not sure people would actually notice it, to be fair. But I don't know. I have a little bit of a weird thing when it comes to matching my socks with my t-shirt that I've got. I don't know if that's a bit weird, but like I can't really. It's just a thing that I just like matching my socks with my t-shirt or shirt I've got. So
Not something that people would have noticed. I wouldn't have hoped that people would have noticed that anyway. Right. So now if you see Kev wearing any sort of ankle swingers, you see a hint of a sock there, make sure to also ask him if he's wearing a similar coloured shirt from now on, because
I'm very sure I will.
that is very unique. You're gonna probably regret that you said that now to us, because people will be asking you the whole world, right? The spotlight is still on you though, Kev, unfortunately, because now I have some quick fire questions to have to ask you. So it's kind of time to get to know your weighing room teammates as well as anything else. So again, honest, quick answers please from you. That's all I expect. So first up, if you were going on holiday, which 3 riders from the weighing room would you take and why?
I would have to take, I'd say, PJ McDonald, Ben Curtis, and probably maybe a Ben Robinson.
Ben Robinson.
Yeah.
to fill the void of I don't know what, but
PJ's obviously one of the senior jockeys in the weighing room, and he's always a good laugh. He always acts a bit younger than he is, if you know what I mean. And Ben I've known for since I've been here, and he's always good crack. He's always up for a laugh. And to be fair, Ben Robinson, my age, we kind of went through the ranks together kind of thing, and he's always been a good friend of mine, and he's always up for a bit of fun as well. So yeah, I would say them 3.
They've justified their places on your holiday anyway. Very well done. Best and worst dressed?
Well, if we go with the best dressed, and Andrew Mullins always very well dressed.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's always very well dressed. Worst dressed, I would have to say Billy Garrity. Yeah, Billy Garrity. He likes a tracksuit.
Yeah, any day of the week, I'm guessing. Then, yeah.
Yeah, it could be Redcar on a Monday or York on a Saturday. You'd see Billy in a tracksuit more times than others. Yeah.
Absolutely outed him. Wonderful. Who's the funniest and why?
Funniest, then again, everyone laughs when Franny Norton talks.
Yeah.
Franny Norton, he's always the joker. He's always got good stories. So he's definitely, I'd say, definitely up there with the funniest, I'd say.
Yeah, like I say, I think many people would say that, yeah, Franny, for sure. Now, if you were riding in a finish against one jockey, who would you least likely to be against?
I could mention, loads of them. There's always, there's some quality riders out there. So it's hard for me to pick one, but listen, William Buick, champion jockey, you would never want to be upside him in the finish, but there's loads of other people you wouldn't like to be upsides, but I'll have to say Will, obviously, because of his, being champion jockey and right now be skiing, and he's just quality, full stop.
He is, exactly. You go some way to dispute that, so good answer. And now, if you were on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, who would be the first person you would call and who would be the last?
I would probably have to, I'll tell you, I'd ring Paul Megstad, Paul Nicholls. Yeah, I'd ring him if I was to know anything, because he kind of just knows everything. And the last person I'd probably ring is Meg. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
I hope she's not going to watch this back or listen to this.
Well, I hope not, but yeah, I probably wouldn't ring Meg if I had to ask her about certain stuff, like her geography and stuff's not great. So
it's all right, as long as she knows the trainer's numbers and she knows the form, that's all she needs to know at the minute. So that's absolutely fine. We can forgive her for that anyway. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. That has been so enlightening in so many respects. That so hopefully we will be able to now let you go and enjoy your downtime for the rest of the day. So thank you so much for everything coming onto this show as well, and we are of course wishing you all the best for the rest of the season. Thanks, Kev.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you very much.
Right, as mentioned at the top of the show, we didn't get as much action over the weekend as we would have liked, but we did at least get some top performances at Thurles on Sunday. And I'm delighted to say that William Hill's very own Luke Elder has joined us, as well as Sky Sports Racing Supremo, as we now know, has joined us to give his opinion on some of these races that we did get to see from Ireland, at least over the weekend. And to start us off with, we have the Grade 2 Mares Novices Chase, won by current Mares Chase favourite at the Cheltenham Festival, Allegory de Vassi, trimmed in from 2-1 to 6-4 for the festival. So Luke, starting with you, please. Allegory de Vassi, she won easily, but that does not tell us the full story of the race. So your opinions on this Grade 2, please.
No, it doesn't. She had a rather simple time on it on the front end after a little while, didn't she? And it's all well and nice winning races like that when you're over in Ireland, when it's a smaller field, it's maybe not the strongest of events the way it planned out. You're not going to win races at Cheltenham like that. So this is going to be a far sort of different prospect going forward. That said, you can only go and win the race as you're asked. You can only beat the horses that are put in front of you, or in her case, behind you. She did jump well. She did everything nicely. We've seen and this is a bit of a bugbear with me, because I thought the race was going to be terrible at Cheltenham, but the Mares Chase has been good. Last year it was a really good race. Ellie May was in there. You had 4-5 in with a chance going over the second last, including a massive outsider.
Yeah,
she's going to have to step up once again. But look, I can't sit and crab anything that she did. She made a couple of small jumping errors, but if that's all you're going to try and knock, she wouldn't be a bet for me at this point. Whether I'd bet her on the day as well, I don't know. But she'd definitely be one that you'd have to consider. But I can't knock anything she did at the weekend, for all that I don't think it was the most ideal of Cheltenham preps.
Yeah, like you say, probably wasn't the most ideal of Cheltenham preps, but once she got over a few of those issues, it was just pretty much her own race to go and lose effectively in her own hands. But it has, James, that Luke just said there, that the Mares Chase has actually become a good race. We've only had the 2 renewals of it so far, but from what we've seen so far, it has been very good. And this year, it does look as though it's going to be shaping up to be a competitive contest. So your opinion on that Grade 2, please.
Yeah, for me, I see a lot of people put up different opinions about the Mares Chase. Obviously, when it came in, it was taking out other races that people liked at the Cheltenham Festival. I'm a huge fan of the Mares Chase, actually. I think if you actually look at the 2 horses that have gone on to win it, yes, they've been both with Willie Mullins, and he's got a cracking chance again with Allegory de Vassi this year. But Cole Reevy then went on to beat Monkfish, Envoy Allen, so showing what a serious horse she was. Ellie May was second to her that year, came back last year with a great performance. What was a 4-way photo finish, wasn't it?
Mm.
So it was another cracking race. I'm all for the race. And I think this year could be even better. It could be a better renewal than both those 2, in my opinion, because I think Allegory de Vassi and Impervious at the top of the market, you could throw them both into the Turners that we'll talk about later. And I think they'd have right chances in that as well. So to be dropped into a Grade 2, I think it's tough that they're going to take on each other. And I know they're at the top of the market, but no disgrace for any of the other horses like Scarlet and Dove and Ellie May if she goes for it again. But it will be out of these 2 who goes and wins this race. And like I talked about on previous shows, Kate, when I've talked about Impervious, what she went on and did last time out, obviously giving weight away to the lads. But I've got a little soft spot for Allegory de Vassi. I liked her last year. I backed up for the Mares Novices Hurdle. Obviously, she didn't turn up. She was favourite before she got pulled out. She's favourite again for the Mares Chase. I'm in again at a better price, so hopefully she does turn up this season. And like Luke said, I don't think she could have done any more than what she really did. Yes, at the first fence, she nearly got rid of Paul Townend, but personally for me, I don't think that was maybe as much of a mistake from her. I think Paul would have been really disappointed if he would have came off, because if you look at the second fence, she did very similar, and he just basically got ready for what was going to happen. Yeah. Yes, she just jumped slightly right. And she does need to get better at a jumping compared to Impervious. I think 6-4 against a 7-4 shot in that race is going to be a cracking renewal of the race. But I don't know who I'd go at this point. I actually can't make a decision. I don't think we're going to see either of them again until the festival. But if you're asking me now who's going to go off favourite, I'd say Allegory de Vassi will go off favourite. And I think Impervious might be a bigger price on the day. But I think it's very hard to split them at this point. But I was very impressed with Allegory de Vassi again, 19 lengths. I don't think she's done much wrong. She just needs to touch up on a jumping.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, she just needs to touch upon that. And obviously with the whole fact that she was going ever so slightly to a right around the left-handed track at Cheltenham, that's enough for me to side with Impervious anyway. Neither of those two are going to be giving away the grade 2 penalty to each other because they're both grade 2 winners. So yeah, it is though. It's shaping up. So come on the girls, girl power for the festival. I don't want to hear otherwise. The mare's schedule is fantastic. So that's all I care about. And the following race at Thurles was the grade 2 horse and jockey hotel chase, won by Fakir Doodery, but another result that doesn't tell us the full story of the race. So James, starting with you for this one, please. Your opinions on the race that has given us a Ryanair winner for the last 2 years.
Yeah, Fakir Doodery's obviously went on to win, but like you said, it's not the full story. I think we'll probably start talking with Horton Colors. What a very unlucky horse that has been. He's fell a few times now, and he's sort of at the start of his career under Mullins showed what potentially did have. And I think with this run, what he was 13-2. For the race, obviously had Cheltenham in there, who was a shorter price. Obviously, Fakir Doodery's was a shorter price. And I thought Fakir Doodery's, I thought it was his race to lose. You look at his form behind Galloping de Champs, behind Allaho over all these years. And obviously, he's been to Aintree the last 2 years to win the Millionaire Chase. For me, even though he's a grade 1 winner, Fakir Doodery's, I've always thought of him as never really a grade 1 horse. He's always been a grade 2 horse. I know it might be slightly unfair because he has gone on to win some nice races. But for me, it probably wasn't the greatest renewal of this race when you've seen Allaho go and win it before, and he was a very lucky winner. Horton Colors, I don't know what you do with this horse now because I see he's not entered in any of the grade 1s at the festival. It depends what mark he gets off the Irish handicapper, then off the British handicapper, whether he goes for maybe something like the plate, depending on what mark he gets. But I think it's very tough, and I would actually probably not see Horton Colors at the festival. I think obviously you've got to talk about Cheltenham in the race as well. Maybe age is just catching up with this horse now. 11 years of age. He's not quick enough for 2 miles anymore. He obviously doesn't stay the 2 mile 4. I really don't know what you do with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he was retired personally. He owes nothing to the sport whatsoever. He's never been brilliant in England. He's always been brilliant around Leopardstown, Punchdown in Ireland. And over years in the past, he's been an absolute brilliant horse that I know the yard think very favourably of. So he's a brilliant horse, Cheltenham, but maybe not so much anymore. And I thought it was a race that didn't really give us many clues for Cheltenham because personally for me, if Allaho does turn up for the Ryanair, I don't think Fakir Doodery's will, and I think he'll go and try and land the hat-trick at Aintree. So we'll just have to see. But as a race leading into the Cheltenham Festival, I don't think it told us a fat lot, really.
No, I think that's right. And to be fair, our traders were conservative enough then with Fakir Doodery anyway, of course, remembering that it is non-running money back with us here at William Hill, because Fakir Doodery in from 12-1, just this 7-1. Allaho actually shortened up 7-4 into 5, into 4-5. So yeah, it didn't tell us a whole lot maybe with the Ryanair, but like say, Horton Colors, he is bang up there towards the head of a market for the plate now on the back of that anyway. But yeah, Luke, your opinions on the race, did we learn all that much from it?
No.
Say it how it is.
Yeah, very little. I'm a contrarian in this. Big word. Yeah, I think Fakir Doodery was going to beat him anyway. I think Fakir Doodery was just beginning to get going. He was kind of like Scooby-Doo. His legs were going when they turned for home, but he just wasn't going anywhere, and he had to get balanced. And once he did, he began to really motor. Now, obviously, it would have been close. I'm not going to say he would have won 10 lengths on the bridle, but I feel like he was just beginning to get going, whereas Horton Colors, he was just maybe doing enough in front. And we'll never know, but he might have found extra when Fakir Doodery got to him. Obviously, he made the mistake, he came down, that was that. I wouldn't be backing any of these for Cheltenham, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It was exciting for about 95% of the race with Cheltenham because he tanked through the race and he thought, yes, he's back. Right, let's go and win a big race with him now. I think I'd agree with earlier comments that probably age is catching up with him a little bit now. He's been on the go for a while as well as Cheltenham, and he's been fragile in the past. They might give him one more go at Punchestown to try and go out on a high, but if they do, it would be with my heart rather than my brain.
Yeah, or like say, or with anything with your pockets, then yeah, definitely not talking through that with Cheltenham because like he's a lovely person as well. He's the nicest horse of all time, but I have to agree with
coming from Willie Mullins' employee Kate Tracey.
Exactly, that's exactly it. From my glory hunting week, that I can offer this kind of insight to all of you, grace you all with it. So you're very welcome. Hopefully, I don't think he's going to be there at Cheltenham again this year, is he? So I don't get to stroke him this time around. But anyway, we wish Jack and Paul all the best. Now we are going to move on to our anti-post race in focus this week, where we are going to be looking ahead to the Turners at Novices Chase, to another 2.5 mile contest, but this time for the Novice Chasers, where the betting currently reads as follows with us here at William Hill. Of course, non-runner money back. Mighty Potter at 11-4. Appreciate It at 3-1. El Fabiolo 5-1. The Gerhard 5-1. James de Burley 11-2. Dice Up Dynamo 7-1. Banbridge 10-1, which is the same price about Journey with Me, and it is 12-1 bar. So Luke, would you like to kick us off with your opinions on the Turners, please?
Yeah, this is always a nightmare race to try and preview up until about 2 or 3 weeks before, just because no one really wants to win this race. You either want to win the RSA or you want to win the Arkle. Everyone's kind of still a bit old-fashioned with things, that maybe they're not as enthused about this race being at the festival, but it's normally a very good race, and we've had some very good winners of it in the past few years. Obviously, we saw what happened last year when things got rather dramatic. I've liked Mighty Potter for a while. I think he might come here, but honestly, I'd be a little bit disappointed if he was winning a race like this at the festival. My thought for a fair while was that Sanois was the anti-post play in the race. Is he still in this, or has he been taken out? I think he might have been taken out.
Yeah, I think he was. I don't think he was into something in the end, after plenty of people were expecting.
Yeah, myself and Andy Holding were talking on William Hill Racing Radio, saying that with the William Hill non-runner money back, you would be more than happy taking Sanois, because he's going to get beat in the Arkle if he goes there. He's too highly handicapped to go for a handicap and be really fancied. So this was the obvious sort of place to go. But you look down the list, you just don't know what's going to turn up. I think Mighty Potter will. I would like Appreciate It too, and maybe with a Dice at Dynamo, or we're going to learn more at Leopardstown in a week or two's time regarding their Arkle standings. James de Burley potentially might go. Sir Gerhard, I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. We haven't seen much of him at all. And then you get into the horses that you really don't think are going to go. I mean, Dice at Dynamo's there himself. If I were to have a bet in the race and maybe try and be speculative about something with the non-runner money back, I would have a go with Appreciate It. But I would have very little confidence of him actually turning up on the day. But that's where you take advantage of the concession, that you get your money back, and that's all fine. You can bet something else on the day if you wish. But yeah, it is such a difficult race to look at from an anti-post point of view, because none of these want to run in the race.
It isn't exactly what you sign up for, is it? When you've sort of got these speedy enough or kind of staying novice chases where you have high expectations for them, you don't really sort of think, we're just going to split the difference, do we? And thanks for remembering.
Sorry to interrupt. None of us sit here for the Supreme Novices and go, oh, that'll be a lovely Turner's horse for next year. That's an Arkle horse. That'll be an RSA horse, or that'll be a Champion Hurdle horse. No one's ever sat there and gone, you know what, we're going to win next year? The 2.5 mile novice. Let's go for that.
True.
One. Right now.
No one has ever cited it, like you say, as sort of for their next season, end of season target. It is very true. And last year's race with only the 4 runners then within it kind of goes to show that as well. But
even Ballymore winners are the same. Ballymore winners want to win an Arkle. They don't want to win a Turners.
They don't even stick to the 2.5 exactly of what they then want to do. So it is, and it's a fine balance to try and weigh up exactly what's going to turn up there. But thanks for remembering that I was also on the radio when you and Andy were talking about Sanois going for the Turners. So I appreciate that a lot, for no pun intended. But no, he wasn't. So we thought that he might be switched to this with John Bon in the Arkle. Wasn't the case. So James, how do we weigh up what horses are even going to run in here and what he's siding with?
Yeah, like Luke said, this race, it can go one or two ways, because you've got to wait really to see who's going to go for the Brown Advisory, who's going to go for the Arkle. For me, I'd scrap this race. I'd get rid of it. Because like Luke said, you either go for the Arkle or the Brown Advisory. You want to be a 2 mile horse or a 3 mile horse. I think like we've said with the Cheltenham Festival over the last few years, when they're talking about it, want to go into 5 days, it just ruins the spectacle of seeing all these best horses against each other. But if looking at the race, you've got the race to look at and you want to find the winner. So I think, again, what Luke said was right. Mighty Potter, I think, is the right favourite. Like Ken said as well last week, he's not the finished article, but he's a Grade 1 winning hurdler. He's a Grade 1 winner over fences in the Drinmore. He's 11-4 currently in the market. I think it's probably the correct price, and I think he's the right favourite. But I think the way you tackle this race at this stage is what is Willie Mullins going to do with all his horses that are novice chase at the moment. And when going through this is how I looked at it. I might be completely wrong when it comes to the actual racing, but this is how I've looked at it and come down on the horse that I would go for at this stage with non-runner money back. So with you've got the likes of what Appreciate It, James de Burley, Sir Gerhard, Flame Bearer, Dysart Dynamo, Kilcrook, Glenn Gooley, Guy de Busnil and El Fabiolo that could potentially all still in this race. So when going through it, I thought El Fabiolo and Dysart Dynamo would be the most likely horses to go for the Arkle. Thought Sir Gerhard will probably be a last-minute decision on whether the Arkle or this race, depending on how he jumps. I think he's entered at Go Run on Thursday. So I could even see him he's still got an entry in the stayers. You wouldn't be surprised if he was chucked back over hurdles, would you? Or even the champion hurdle. He's got that many. So you can't really touch him for this race personally for me, because also the long layoff. I know he's a Ballymore when he did brilliantly over hurdles last season, but when you haven't seen him for that long and it's only 7 weeks to the festival, you want to see these horses, don't you? Flame Bearer, Kilcrook and Glenn Gooley aren't good enough to me to go and win this race. They're nice horses, but I don't think they're the same caliber in some in the field, so I'd rule them out. Guy de Busnil wants 3 miles or 3 miles 6. He'll be going for the Brown Advisory. He'll be going to the National Chase. So I was left with 2, and that's James de Burley and Appreciate It. Appreciate It, yes, he has been talked about for the Arkle for a long time, and James de Burley could even go to the Brown Advisory. I'm a huge fan of James de Burley, but if I'm picking out the 2, my selection would be Appreciate It 3-1, because I think he's made to go up in trip. I think he's brilliant over 2 miles. Don't get me wrong. He's won the Supreme. He was second in the champion bumper to Fernie Hollow. He's won 3-4 grade 1s over hurdles over 2 miles. So I've got no problem with, like, if he did go to the Arkle, I think he's got a cracking chance. Like I've said before, I have got a little phobia of 9-year-olds running in novice chases. But if I'm going to make an exception, it's going to be Appreciate. The way he's jumped so far over fences, he's got so much more scope to improve. He's a massive horse. Like when I saw him for the first time in the flesh, I couldn't believe how big this horse was. And like I've been saying all the way through, I just think he wants further. And I think if he's the one out of El Fabiolo, Dysart Dynamo and Appreciate, I think he's the one who's most likely to go to the Turners. So I think he's got a cracking chance of winning it. He's done nothing wrong so far. I think it's combined 28 lengths so far he's won by. I know he hasn't really took on much. And the last race, when Top Bandit fell and obviously Facey lost his life, he didn't have to actually beat too much in the end when that horse fell. It's a non-runner no back suggestion, because we don't know whether he's going to go for this race. But if I was Willie Mullins, I would be sending him here, and at 3-1, I'd be happy to play him.
Yeah, exactly. So both of you, with that, we've done a full reversal there, where we started off not with glowing reports of the Turners in itself, but the pair of you have come a full way back around then to wanting to Appreciate It, to then step up in trip and to be taking advantage of those non-runner money back concessions as well. Currently a 3-1 shot with us. Appreciate it. But you're leaving your namesake James de Burley behind, though, in favour of your financial gains, hopefully, James. Anyway, yeah. Now we are going to be looking ahead to hopefully what is going to be a good weekend of racing. Weather permitting yet again. Of course, I feel like a broken record saying that over and over again at the minute, because there is so much to look forward to at Cheltenham and Doncaster. And we shall begin at Prestbury Park, where we have the rescheduled Grade 1 Clarence House Chase. So James, the Clarence House Chase at Cheltenham, what are your thoughts?
Well, we talked about it last week, didn't we? And it was me against Ken, wasn't it? Ken was on Edwardstone, I was on Energamine. I haven't changed my mind for going to Cheltenham. My only worry is, does Energamine not turn up here and go to the Dublin Racing Festival instead? That is my only worry now. And a short price of 8 to 15 probably in the market. He was as short as that for Ascot. So I'm still with Energamine. I haven't really got much to say on this, because I think it'd be a 2-horse race. Like we said last week in our Amarillo Sky, it was a shambles that there was only 3 runners going for a race like this. I know Editor de Gite's been supplemented now, and there could potentially be 6. I still think that's not enough really for a race like this. I think all the horses in behind Edwardstone and Energamine are just going to be playing for that 3rd spot. I think it's about 18,000 they're going to pick up. It's lovely, isn't it, to pick up that but not be competitive in a race. I just think that, and like I said last week, Energamine, the form he's shown over the last few seasons. Yes, Edwardstone's an admirable horse, but I just think Energamine's shown better form. He's beaten better horses personally for me, and I know it was only a fall that can be looked over. There was a small mistake by Edwardstone, and he probably won't do that again. But it still gives you a bit of doubt going into a high-profile race like this. So Energamine for me, and I'll be sticking with him. I think he goes and wins the champion chase as well.
Yep, exactly. Oh, I am with you the full way for that. I don't think that anything's going to get anywhere near an Ergomean. Now we are just lacking for a bit of time. So we're going to move on to the next race there, because there are lots of potential Gold Cup angles in the Grade 2 Cotswold Chase over 3 mile, 1.5 furlongs, where the now leading British hope, Protectorate, heads the betting at present. But Noble Yates, with vaccination paperwork in check, is now at 7-4. So Luke, how are you playing this one?
Trickily, it always is a race like that as well. Just to say, with the Clarence House, I've run at Cheltenham 3 times. Well Chief, Undersow, and Sprinter Sacra have won it those 3 years.
Oh,
so
okay, quite a roll of honour.
Yeah, when it turns up at Cheltenham, it's normally a pretty good race, isn't it? But I think with the Cotswold Chase, Protectorate is a horse that I've never really been willing to get on side. I backed him in a Coral Cup years ago, I think anti-post. But since then, I'd never really bought into him as an out and out Gold Cup horse. And then he ran a really good race in the Gold Cup last year. You can't grab him at all. He found Aplutard, who everyone found too good, and Manella Indo a little too good as well. And then suddenly now he's at the top of the market. I like that they're running him here, because this is a proper Gold Cup trial. We've not really seen too much of him this year. He went to Haydock, where yes, he won the Betfair Chase, but I think he fell in a touch. He had to beat Eldorado Allen in the end. Aplutard didn't run his race at all. I don't think Frodon ran his race in any way either. Noble Yates, I do think that Aintree really is his track. Whether he's going to be the same horse around here at Cheltenham, I don't know. Ahoy Senor, if he jumped, would have a chance, but honestly, exactly. That is the correct response to can Ahoy Senor jump. Even he doesn't know if he's going to jump on the day.
Oh, yeah.
He can be brilliant, but then he goes to Aintree and jumps horrifically and still runs an okay race. So it's a really, really tricky one to work out. I think Frodon at this point would be the way that I'd play this, which I don't like doing, I'll be honest. His last run at Kempton in the King George, I thought that was a very good run behind Brave Man's Game and Royal Pagaille, for all that he never really looked like winning. But this is the sort of race that he could just dominate. If he could get Ahoy Senor jumping poorly, if he could get Noble Yates off the bridle earlier on, if he could try and make it into a real stamina sapping test and sort of grind Protectorate into submission, that would be his way into this contest. So at the moment, I would take Frodon. I do think Protectorate is probably the most likely winner, but whether it's more pride not letting me take him at the prices at the moment, I'm not sure. But I think Frodon at the moment is the bet, but Protectorate's the most likely winner.
Oh, okay. So most likely winner, but you're not willing to part with cash then to be backing him at 6-4, letting pride get in the way, which we always like. Frodon, though, 7-1 currently, now an 11-year-old, the old boy, but like I say, this may well set up to suit him. And then there is also the Grade 2 Cleeve Hurdle over 3 miles, where Paisley Park is going for a 4th win in this race after his remarkable success in this last year. So yeah, no whipping around this time, please, Paisley. But James, are you siding with him to win again?
Yeah, all aboard the Paisley Park train.
Oh, yes.
I absolutely love this horse. I think it's my favourite horse in training. Has been for a long, long time. Like you said, he's going for his 4th Cleeve Hurdle. You look at the Roll of Honour, he's got like the long walk hurdle, he's won on 3 occasions. Stayers hurdle, obviously, a long distance hurdle. When was it? Back in 2018, 2019, he was unbeaten in all these races. I think he went 7 on the trot. Yes, he's 11 years of age now, but for me, of the 2 runs he's shown this season, the fire still well and truly burns in that belly. You look, everyone knows how he races. He's going to come around this corner coming into the straight for Cheltenham. He'll be hard off the bridle. Everyone else will be still cantering along lovely. And when they go, he'll be flying past them still, because he stays better than any horse I've ever seen. I don't think he's probably the strongest renewal in the world. You see Gelino Bella obviously coming back from fences to try over hurdles, then potentially go to the Stayers. I'll be watching that horse just to see how he gets on. Obviously winning at Aintree over that 3 miles. He's not a bad horse, but hasn't jumped as well this season over fences. But yeah, I just don't think there's any other horse that comes close to this one. The only issue is that when does the age really start to catch up with Paisley Park? That is my only issue, and we'll only know when we see him and it happens on the track. But yeah, I think it's very simple for this one. I can't go past him, and I hope he goes and wins.
Oh, well done. Yeah, I mean, like I say, talking with heart as much as head there. Paisley Park, though, hopefully going for a 4th win in the Cleeve Hurdle. And at Doncaster, we also have graded action with the Grade 2 Lightning Novices Chase over 2 miles and half a furlong. So look, would you like us to talk us through this one?
Yeah, this is a decent race, and I think it's a betting race as well. this is the race that I'd be most interested in out of the lot, because I love Boot Hill. I think he's a very, very good novice chaser. Is he favourite at the moment? Do you know?
He is. Give me 2 seconds.
If he's not, he should be.
Haven't got prices just yet.
Okay, I think he will go off favourite anyway. I thought he was very good at Kempton in a race that, yeah, fair enough. He should have been winning. I know the Skelton horse, unseated rider, but I think Boot Hill was going to win anyway. Alcon Risk is a good scalp to claim back in second as well for the Chris Gordon team. And obviously, he's the horse today that has pushed John Bon closest over fences for all that there's not been too many attempts. But he did give John Bon a little bit of a fright. I mean, I've been singing from the rooftops about John Bon being the most exciting novice chaser that I've seen since the Tour, probably. And just turning for home at Sandown, I was thinking, ooh, go away. And then John Bon quickened and class sort of came to the 41 by 8 lengths. But he did make you just sweat if you took the short prices about John Bon in the Henry VIII. That said, he wasn't quite up to that level. That said, again, he's not going to have to be for this. He's against Tommy's Oscar. He's against Hadex de Zobo, who I love. He was meant to go, I believe, to Lingfield for the Winter Millions Day. Obviously doesn't. I just wonder if Hadex de Zobo can get away with the front running style around Doncaster in a better race. Obviously, he's done it so far this season. That's all well and good, but he was brilliant last time around at Warwick. I thought he got a worldly of a ride from Jamie Moore. He just went from the front, jumped every single fence. He was brilliant from start to finish. At least we got a bit of pace in this contest. I just think this could set up perfectly for Boot Hill. Whether he goes to the Arkle again to be beaten by John Bon, I'm not sure. But if he did on the day, he would absolutely be a horse that I would have in the reckoning in a forecast play with John Bon. So yeah, I think Boot Hill should go off favourite, and I think he should be a fairly strong favourite in this.
Yeah, and a strong favourite to go with that. I mean, the current predictions are Tommy's Oscar to be going off as Fav, then with Boot Hill in second. So even better, even more music to your ears than if you are getting that rather than him going off as a strong favourite. But either way, then as soon as our traders have priced up this race, it's going to be fascinating to see what price they do give Boot Hill for that grade 2 contest. Right, that is a look ahead to this weekend's action, as I say. Hopefully we will get to the action this weekend with the frost that is currently pretty embedded all over the country, really. But before I let the lads go, and thank you so much to them for all of their hard work, but Luke, I require one more thing from you, please. I require your best anti-post bet for the Cheltenham Festival at this current stage.
You're going to be delighted.
Oh, am I?
Because I'm going girl power once again in the Mare's Novice.
Okay.
Which I cannot believe I'm saying.
I know. Yeah.
I really don't like this race.
No,
just in general. But there was a horse the other day. Where did Gaelic Warrior run? Navan, Nace, whichever one it was. There was a horse that ran on the same day called Night and Day.
Yes.
And she was brilliant. She travelled through the race well. She jumped fantastically. I was on with Andy Holding again, and maybe you?
No, not this time. You're fine.
All right. I tried. And me and Andy were saying about Night and Day after Gaelic Warrior round. Night and Day posted a faster time and came out better on the clock. Obviously, Gaelic Warrior was eased down to win, but so was Night and Day. Night and Day took advantage of a nice opening. They tried her in a grade 1 last year on her first start over in Ireland, and that seemed a little bit of that's a big leap. But I think they're going to be proved right about that. Obviously, you've got Lucia in the market as well. I don't think it's going to be the deepest of races, but I think it's about 7-1 non-runner money back at Night and Day with William Hill. I think that's a heck of a price. If you wanted to, you could take that each way. But I think it was the race last year that Connections of Dino Blue prepped Dino Blue for Cheltenham. Obviously, things didn't go great on the day, but we know that Dino Blue is a very good horse, and we know sort of the esteem that she was held in. But yeah, I think right now, Night and Day would be my bet at the festival.
Oh, I like it a lot. Clonmel it was. Yeah, I've just
Clonmel, that's the one, yeah.
We were close enough. 7-1, then about Night and Day. That's a huge price in from 14-1, then 7-1 for that Mare's Novices hurdle for Night and Day. Good case made, Luke, as well. Then I did not expect that of all the races for you to be cited.
Also, there's a horse that I quite like, Constitution Hill. I think he's an each way shout.
I'll make sure I'll put him in my tracker. Yeah, I'll just make sure I get the spelling right.
Not many people have heard of him. So
no.
it's HILL for Hill.
Yeah, thank you very much for spelling that out for me. Yeah, exactly. Just make a mental note of that as we talk about him anyway. But yeah, second best bet, then we'll allow you him all the same anyway. So a big thank you to all of the guests on this week's show. Thanks so much to James Mackie. Thanks so much to Luke Elder. And thank you so much to Kevin Stott as well for all of their hard work. Thank you so much for watching. This has been episode 8 of the Inside Track, brought to you by William Hill. Please do remember to like and subscribe to William Hill's YouTube channel. Make sure to leave us a comment below. We always like to hear from you, your opinions on everything we've discussed on this week's show, and we'll catch up with you again next week.